Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. Only an hour later than I should have done it yesterday. Well, today. Sorry, folks. I just got lazy stuff, but we're only in basically an hour late, and we'll have some fun. Now, let's go to share screen, folks. Have a great draw stream. Finish off this page, but first we're going to listen to some Indiegogos and Kickstarters. I'll read you some Indiegogos and Kickstarters, huh? Here we have the Chnu 77, folks. It's a 64-page book by Graham Nolan, and it looks good. It's 1977. He's back, folks, the Chnu. The storm of the century is paralyzing Buffalo, New York, when trucker Hank Donovan comes across a scene of unimaginable horror, a car stuck in the snow, its occupants shredded to pieces, the only survivor, a newborn baby. Driven by a desperate need for redemption, he vows to protect the infant at any cost. But the snow hides a predator far worse than the storm, the Chnu. A ravenous creature stalking the blood-soaked drifts, hungry for its next kill. Can Hank outrun his demons and the monster before it claims them both? Well, back this book and find out, folks. For $25, you can back covers A or B. Cover A is right here, folks, with Hank Donovan trudging through the snow with a monster stalking him from behind. Cover B is more or less the same cover, folks, except the cover, the logo, and basically other aspects of the book have been altered to look like a 1970s Marvel Comics, book. Then we have the Comics King sketch cover, folks. And we also have this black and red wraparound cover. Both covers, though, are basically only in the Ultimate Collector's box. For $250, folks, have all the covers, have everything this campaign offers, for, a nice, reasonable price. But if that's too rich for you folks, for $25, get this issue. Get this book. For covers A and B you can choose from. Either way, that's Chnu 77, folks. But let's go over here and maybe, let's go over here, folks, and let's look at Barbarian Tales, huh? Empire Comics presents Barbaric Adventures. I made a mistake there. Barbaric Adventures. Either way, they present Empire Comics Barbaric Adventures 1, the most anticipated comic magazine of 2026. It's a 64-page square-bound magazine format, or should I say, square-bound magazine format, 8x5x11, black and white with tonal rendering bursting at the seams with action. Barbaric Adventures magazine is a throwback to the 1970s black and white magazines like Savage Tale. The first issue includes stories by Aaron Lopresti, David Williams, and Dan Lawless, as well as contributions by Gary Martin and more. So, and a few more surprises as well. Now, Aaron Lopresti, he debuts, his new title, Primal Zone. The story of a reluctant hero who, cast into an interdimensional, world of dinosaurs and cavemen. David Williams introduces us to the story of a young, David Williams, with his story, folks, introduces us to the story of a young medieval knight who battles a horde of demons in a quest to become a true warrior. Finally, we have Dan Lawless's story, folks, who takes us to a futuristic Mars where a high-tech society has fallen into savage chaos and one man leads a rebellion to defeat the corrupt powers that have seized control. Gary Martin also contributes to this project, as well as a bonus story by Aaron Lopresti. The stories and art by this talented group is sure to captivate and excite, bringing back those fond memories of when Sword and Sorcery magazines ruled the newsstands. Now you can back, Barbaric Adventures magazine, folks, for $25. You have a choice of 4 different covers. Here's the Aaron Lopresti cover, folks, with our hero, along with a fur-covered a bikini fur-covered maiden, folks, fighting dinosaurs. Then we have, Martin Williams's cover, folks, with our hero, the young medieval knight, trudging on his quest through, some demon-infested woods or cave. Then we have the Dan Lawless cover, folks, which is just more or less, as I've said before, folks, it's basically just Conan on Mars. Yes, this isn't actually Conan, folks, but it looks like him, and he's battling some ape-looking fellows as they try to kill him. Either way, looks good. And we even have another cover by Joe Josco, which has a barbarian maiden on the front of the cover, folks, holding up the severed head of a Yeti, while the other Yeti tribesmen basically scream in the background as after this barbaric, beautiful maiden has killed him. As I've said before, folks, you can back each of these covers individually for $25. Make your choice, folks, and back this book. Barbaric Adventures Magazine. It's up on Indiegogo. Either way, folks, not bad. Let's get back to this video, folks, we started yesterday, and have some fun. And I'll get back to drawing. Well, basically inking, I should say. And let's have some fun. By the way, folks, we have 14 people watching, so that's not bad. Not bad at all. Oh, I need to basically, I'll be right back, folks. I screwed up. I'm back, folks. I forgot to add I forgot to add one of the channels I had basically, up for, I streamed to basically Rumble and Odyssey, folks. I forgot to add the Rumble channel so my Rumble viewers could watch it. Either way, they're watching us now. Okay, folks, we have 14 people watching. That's pretty good. Let's go to share screen and let's get the drawing now. Yeah. Not bad there. Let me do this. Now let me go over here real quick, folks, see if anyone's watching us. Hopefully a few more people duck in. Either way, not bad. Let me go over here as well. Either way, we have 14 people watching. Let me share this out real quick, and let's get into this. Here we go, folks.
Markings. I've been given photographs of the marks. But,
now, do you still have your triangle?
Went about 5 months afterwards.
5 months.
Yeah. Actually, at first it was red, and I thought, well, this could be a burn. Then it healed to be the outline of a scar, a triangular scar, which suggested more that it might have been a cut or the layers of skin removed rather than actually a burn. I didn't realise, of course, how important that was until January the following year, when the researchers said, well, hey, you're not alone in this because the other two had it as well. And that was a real relief. Yeah, so...
Now, have you since, met with the other witnesses and become friends, perhaps, or shared experiences?
I didn't understand that at first. All I thought, we've been through this and no one else in the world has experienced this. It's like, well, I really needed them because I wasn't having the support from my husband at all that I needed. In fact, he was angry at the whole thing because he just wanted me not to tell anybody and let's go on living the way we were living.
And yet don't even talk about it with him.
Yeah. But
don't even talk about it with him. And he's just angry about it. That's such like a unprocessed, don't know how to convey emotion, boomer male attitude to the situation. Can't talk about it, just get angry.
They, at first they...
All right, folks, we have a few chats. We have a chat from, Artie's Mimi. Hello. We have another chat from Artie's Mimi. I was just on a live show where people were making fun of a kid with a disability. That's a sad thing to hear and stuff like that. Jeez. I'm sorry to hear about that and stuff like that. Either way, sit back, Artie's Mimi. Enjoy the show, and I'll basically ink my page for you for my comic book Supreme Strike Force. But either way, let's get back to this.
Well, they weren't even told about us until July 1994, so I had to wait all of that time.
Almost a year later.
About 9 months after they came forward, they were told about our presence that night. They hadn't seen us ahead of them, even though I'd seen them behind us. And they did go public. They did a lecture at a university and 2 radio shows that I know of, but I only learned of those in retrospect, or I would have been there. And they decided that they weren't going to do it anymore. That Bill was terrified of, his position as a bank manager if anyone found out. And it was the girls who'd actually been speaking. And so they all just decided that it just wasn't worth all the trouble of going public. And they decided that they were going to leave it behind and really didn't want to deal with it anymore. There was actually a lot more to it. There was a big court case that went on over revealing their personal information in public and a lot of other things.
Who was it that?
Is it better to live in a pen or try to die escaping it? Those are the kind of questions I love. I like it.
Searches and the second party. So there was a lot more complications that went on than meets the eye. But
now, writing this book, Encounter, which you wrote in 1996?
Well, actually, I didn't. It was published in 96, but all of this really comes from the journals that I was encouraged to keep by the researchers. It was like, write everything down, you know, and maybe one day it can be used as reference material or something. And it was a form of, I guess, a form of therapy too. But more than that, I've gone back through my old journals, and sometimes I'm amazed at how much you forget over the years. And it's like, oh God, I forgot all about that. You know, it might be a little incident or you know, a little insight, and it was really good to write it down. But the book basically came from that, and from an interview that was done on tape.
And what compelled you to write this book? Was it something that felt therapeutically valuable? Did you want to share it with a larger audience?
Not at first. That's why it took me quite a number of years to do anything with it. I didn't really want to share it with a lot of people. It was even telling my best friends was a bit of a problem, but the support that I got from them really encouraged me a lot. But it was actually researchers and other experiences. I got to meet quite a number of, you know, actually now it's in the thousands of other experiences now across the globe. But by then I'd met several people, and everyone kept saying to me, listen, you've got the ability to actually get out there and do something. You've got physical evidence. You've got 3 parties of witnesses, and we've been in our situations alone. We haven't got what you've got to get out there and tell people, hey, there's something going on. And basically, I think I got pushed into a little guilt trip there.
You're not doing your part for society.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, hey, you've got a job to do, girl. And eventually I got around to doing it, and I was quite surprised at you know, that a big publisher like HarperCollins snapped it up. And
what kind of reaction did you get to your book?
Oh, very good, actually.
That's surprising that a big publisher snapped her book up in the 90s. I would have thought that she would have had trouble publishing it. I don't know. I'm curious to know, was there any...
Attention collectors. The United States Mint recently released one of the most extraordinary opportunities in recent memory. In commemoration of America's 250th anniversary, the United States Mint created a once-in-a-lifetime collectible silver proof set to celebrate America's semi-quincentennial. For the first...
Let me skip that commercial, folks.
Redactions? Was there any, you know, suggested edits or told I think we should remove this part for whatever reason?
Media went crazy on it in Australia, and actually that's where a lot of media attention turned to UFOs from there on in, and actually a little bit before my book. But I think I was one of the first, well, probably the first experiencer to go so full on in the Australian media, and I was on current affairs programs and in academic journals and so on. And you know, it's not an easy thing. You know, I mean, I'm not an unintelligent woman, so it's you know, I know it looks crazy, but someone doesn't get up there and make a fool of themselves and invent an absolutely stupid story like that when they know how ridiculous it sounds.
Amen. Amen to that, Kelly Cahill. She definitely doesn't come across as stupid. She does come across as intelligent. And yeah, I guess this is the time, the 90s was the time of like the X-Files peaking. So maybe that does make sense. You know, publisher would see the interest of the X-Files and the potential to cash in on what is a real story. This is only 5 years, though. 5 years after the family, the Knowles family. We covered that one on the channel quite a while ago. The Knowles family's car was like picked up and slammed on the Nullarbor highway, I think it was. And they were ridiculed. They basically like came out once, told their story, and were just laughed out the door. So it's interesting to see how much of a swing there was in 5 years on like public's, you know, willingness to maybe listen a little more. And also interesting to think, I wonder how much that is down to the X-Files, right? Like how much the media, television shows and entertainment was able to sort of mold the perception and the way people hear these kind of stories. I would say the X-Files probably had a lot to do with it.
So the purpose behind it, you know it's going to look stupid, you know it's going to probably ruin your reputation or whatever, but when you've got a truth to get out there, it's really important. And I just thank God that a lot of people actually did listen, which is, yeah.
You're very
100%. Sorry to keep interrupting, but like what she said there, like when you know something is true, like the feeling of like being ridiculed has to become so irrelevant, right? Like if you just know something, you're not guessing, you're not making a theory, you don't want to like, scared of sounding wacky if I give this theory. Like if you actually know it, like you're not going to give a shit what people think because you've seen it with your own eyes.
fortunate. It didn't ruin your reputation. And you live in now it did ruin
my marriage.
Ruin your marriage. I don't think it's a divorce.
Wow.
But okay.
Ruined her marriage.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
what
fine.
happened. But you live in a small town now,
Yes,
so in
I do.
Australia. And how do your fellow townspeople feel about your experience? Or is there any, fault?
Feedback from it? Yeah. Well, actually, my next door neighbour is a pastor of a church, and
shit.
within weeks of me moving in, he was on my doorstep saying, "I heard you
Demons
wrote a
be
book."
gone.
And he said, "Oh, the boys have been talking about it." So, but I don't. I tend to stick to myself a lot. I'm a very private person, so I really don't know what people say and think.
Well, nobody's coming.
No
up
one
and
will do it
saying
purposely
anything.
to me. Actually, the only person having any problem with it at the moment is my oldest. She's about to turn 13, and she's going through that stage where everything about her mum's embarrassing, and this just makes it worse.
Oh dear.
Once upon a time, she used to be really proud of this. Not anymore.
Yes, well, that's
It's just that age.
Yes, it's being a 13-year-old. So now you have 3 children, correct?
Yes, I do.
And how do the others? Has there been any experience?
I don't feel the same about people writing books back then as I do now. I think that's the right perspective. Doesn't mean it's always true. But at the end of the day, at this time, like the book was the only way to tell your story. So I think people need to remember that. But I do totally understand the skepticism that people feel today when someone has a book. I don't know. I don't think it's always valid, but I get it. Toxic Fart says, alien teacher to alien student. I said die. Thank you, Toxic. And Thomas says, do you think you could get an interview with her? I would love to talk to her. That's someone I would interview. But no, I don't think I could because from my understanding, she is very non-public. I would assume she's still alive, but I don't know that because she's not in the public at all anymore, from my understanding. Maybe someone like Bill Chalker would be able to get in touch with her, but I think for the most part, she's not doing podcast circuits,
Experiences that you know of that your children have had? Or have you had? And well, let's start with your children and then...
Well, I certainly hope not.
So none that you know of, that your children have not had any encounters or visitations?
No.
Do you feel you've had any visitations or encounters since that August 93 event?
Yes, I had for 5 months after the encounter, I had what I term as night visitations. I had woke up on 4 occasions to see one of these tall, dark beings standing right beside my bed. Whether it was a sleep phenomena or something, I don't know, but it certainly seemed real when I woke up. And, well, enough to scare the living daylights out of me so that, it's only been 2.5 years since I've been able to sleep without the light on again. So, when you've been that scared as an adult that you've got to sleep with the light on in your room, it's, to me, it was very, very real.
Just to play devil's advocate a little bit there, if this incident has scared her this much to the point where she's sleeping with the light and etc., could it also be a valid theory that these night visitations are like a form of PTSD? You know what I mean? Like she's waking up thinking that she's like back in it while she's still in this like weird liminal half dream awake state and then kind of comes to. I don't know. I'm not trying to doubt her, but just, these are the things I wonder.
The being that you saw in the follow-up visitations, night visitations, did they appear as best as you could tell to be the same being?
There's only one.
Okay. Was it did it appear to be the same as the 7 beings? How many did you see out in the field that night? We didn't.
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Did it appear to be the same?
Yeah.
General?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was pretty sure it was one of the same.
So other than the sort of teardrop-shaped head with the red eyes that appear to...
Ant people, bro. It's the ant people. Yes, people trying to find out who she is and dig her up. Kelly Cahill's not her real name. It's something she used to come out with to bring this case public. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to try and get this lady on the show, I don't know. Don't think it could happen. Never say never, but, you know. S-Tone said, with 6 months, says, do you think Uluru is one entrance to the Hollow Earth or maybe an exit? If we were on the inside, Aussie. Look, I think Uluru, well, I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's just a giant rock. I'll say that much. Yeah, I don't think it's just a giant rock. I don't know what it is, but it's just it literally is one of the largest anomalies on Earth, in my opinion.
Glow, is that a appropriate way to describe it? What about the rest of the...
Was he talking about Ayers Rock in Australia? It's also known as Hope Rock, so it might have a few different names, folks. So that is interesting. Some people do say that their Aborigines believe that basically Ayers Rock, or maybe if it's the same rock this guy mentioned, it connects to different worlds. That might be, maybe it's a Stargate, folks. It would be an interesting idea if true. But let's continue with the video.
Okay, well,
I'm sure.
Beside my bed, it seemed to be wearing a cloak.
Huh. Like a cape?
Yeah.
Down to the ground? Or?
Yeah, and a hood on it. And it's really actually quite strange because Glinda from the second party, I only found out probably 2 years down the track. I was given more of her diagrams, and where she says she came back into consciousness and she was strapped down to a table, the being that she woke up and saw was also wearing a cloak. So there's a sort of a little coincidence there.
Yeah.
But out on the field, I really can't tell you about their bodies, because when you see this huge mass of glowing red eyes coming straight at you, you're not looking at anything else but the eyes, you know. I mean, you're not worried about the colour of their fingernail polish. It just doesn't enter your mind.
Would it appear like when cats' eyes, you know, the light hits them just right at night? No. Was it that kind of a red eye?
It was like it was like a red hot glow on a stove. That sort of glow.
Very interesting.
Tile Survive has to be one of the most relaxing and comforting games of 2026. There's no pressure, and it's super easy to play. Wow. You don't need to stay online all day.
Let me skip this commercial, folks.
Materials, upgrade your...
Damn, that to me sounds like, you know, when like coal gets heated up to the point that it's like a burning orange. That's kind of how I'm interpreting this.
Wow. I would be terrified. Who wouldn't be terrified seeing something like that? And I can't even imagine waking up and standing on the side of my bed as some red-eyed creature with a cloak on. That's
dear goodness.
Well,
that first time it happened, there was no way I was going back to sleep that night. I was sort of
I'm surprised you ever went back to sleep, Kelly, to be honest with you.
She has good humor for the whole situation. She does, and I actually don't know what year this interview was, unfortunately. I would like to find that out because, you know, it would be interesting to see how long it's been for her to be able to have, have a laugh about what sounds like a really traumatic experience.
At least it only lasted for 5 months. You know, there's a lot of people that I speak to.
How often did it happen during that 5-month period?
4 times.
4 times during 5 months. And what happened during those night visitations?
Okay, well, the first time... I could feel this, I was asleep and I had a very vivid dream where I could feel this presence in my dream, and something said to me not to be frightened of what was about to happen. And I felt this suction on my chest, and almost like my chest had turned into an elastic band and something just sucking something out of me. And then I got a bit panicked and it eased back into me a little bit. And then it started again, but really, really strong. And that's what woke me up, like energy or something was being drawn out of me. But it really made my chest feel like it was an elastic band. And when I woke up, that's when I saw this thing standing this far away from me on the side of the bed. Yet here's the difference. In my dream, when I was asleep, I couldn't see anything. It was just a presence. Only ever in all of these dreams, when I woke up, did I see something? In the dreams, there was never anything to see. It was just an awareness of a very strong presence of something. And
yeah, a lot of people in the chat saying it sounds like soul extraction. I feel like we've heard stories like that where, in fact, I think it was Mac that I interviewed early on the channel where he spoke about like having dreams of like soul extractions and soul splintering, I think was the term. I don't know. I mean, there's pretty out there stuff, but that is interesting. Also, the whole like waking up to a being, but feeling it more primarily in her dream, like there was a presence there. That is my sleep paralysis to a T. I've never seen people talk about sleep paralysis like, they see like a demon on the end of their bed and whatever. When I get sleep paralysis, which is like somewhat common, it apparently more common than most people, I can never see anything ever when I have sleep paralysis, but I'm overwhelmed with a sense of dread that something unsafe and dangerous is like right there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it is, but when she says that, it sounds a lot like how I experience sleep paralysis.
And what I did notice is the same absolute horror energy that I had out on the field was the same thing I felt when this thing showed up.
Oh dear. And what happened next when you had that feeling of horror? How long did this last? Did anything happen, like any physical marks the next day, any communication, any missing time that you knew of?
No, it just seemed to just stand there and look at me, and then it was gone. But I just got the impression that I might have won this time, but there'll be other days. That's the whole impression. Almost like it was there long enough for me to realise that, hey, this is real, and then it wasn't. And it wasn't a good year, I think, after that. It was sort of all, and that wasn't all that happened. I tend to forget a lot of things, but we had some very strange electrical phenomena going on around the house.
Classic.
We had major appliances blowing, light bulbs going all of the time.
What do you mean? What do you mean, blowing up or turning on and off by themselves?
We had the TV turning on and off by itself. My husband's car would turn over in the driveway, like with the sound of a car that's been flooded, with a kill switch on and the door's locked, and he'd run down to try and find. Yeah, he'd run down to try and find the thief, and the car's still locked, and the kill switch is still on.
Oh my gosh! And no key in the ignition, and the car is going.
And
So she's saying that she can hear the car ticking over in the driveway while they're both inside, and they run out there and nothing's there, nothing's happening. That's weird. I've never heard of anything like that before.
So this is to me, and I was getting electric shocks from things that shouldn't conduct electricity, like rocks and soil and wood and things out in the garden. I kept getting these shocks all the time, and I really think that, especially with the car, that somehow whatever we were in contact with out in the field had some sort of electrical charge or something that had started to, not only affect our bodies, but mechanical things like the car as well. So
and that's a classic. You see that in all the movies. Even people's phones have videoed weird cases of electronic interference. Her book came out in 1996. I bet this interview was close to that. I think that's a good shout, to be honest. Could be possibly promoting the book on this tour, likely. And I would say visually and audio kind of, I think, tracks with about mid-90s for sure.
Unusual time.
Wow, how long did those strange
that stuff went on for about 9 or 10 months.
So you were having migraines for about 9 months.
Yeah.
You were having strange electrical effects. And then they dissipated, stopped abruptly.
Yeah, it just seemed to disappear. It just seemed to stop.
And so the night visitation stopped after that 9 months as well?
No, they were only the first 5 months.
First 5 months. So after 9 months after, as far as you know, you have had no experiences.
Well, not anything like that, no.
That type of an experience.
Yeah.
Not anything like
that. Have you
that.
had any experiences at all
What does that mean?
prior to August 93 on the road?
Well, there's only one experience that now makes sense, and it didn't then. In 1991, I was living in a Melbourne suburb, Laylaw, and I was very, very pregnant with my third child.
9 months pregnant, right?
Yeah, very, very
Interesting.
pregnant.
Interesting pregnancy involved once again.
and
minutes away from due date.
I woke up
Indeed,
in the
the fact
morning.
Can't print a super large model because your printer size isn't big enough? Just enter a text.
I'm going to skip this commercial, folks, but indeed, the fact that a pregnancy was once again involved in this in a case of alien abduction is very fascinating, folks.
Size models can be 3D.
Lying spread eagled on my huge stomach, balancing on the bed with my arms and legs sort of off the bed,
Been there.
with my son kicking me, and my waters had actually broken, and it was really hard actually to get up off the bed, and I don't even know how I got in that position, but I got up and I started to walk towards the door, and I noticed my nightie was on inside out. And then I thought, when did I, it's a bit stupid putting that on backwards, and I asked myself, when did I put it on? And I could not remember going to bed. The last thing I remember was sitting out in the lounge room, and it was the first time in my life where I hadn't remembered doing something. And I sort of, ticked over in my mind, and because I was going into labour at that very time, sort of
Labour?
The concern about it lasted till about as far as I got to the bedroom door. And
Or Nora, I'm going to labour.
that was it. There's other things sort of took precedence over it. But I also came up with these marks on the side of my legs, which were like deep grooves and that were dark purple, and they all seemed to come up around the same time. And it's only now, after I've learnt a lot about UFO experiences and everything, that they're the classical scoop marks that a lot of UFO experiences actually have. And if you actually feel them, you can feel what feels like a hole going down through the muscle tissue, right down like a punch biopsy.
So you still have that mark on your ankle?
No, on both of my calves.
Both of your calves?
Yeah. So that does look like something else strange happened there, but
yes. Now, with the birth...
Damn, missing time, wondering how you got somewhere. That shit that's textbook right there. And interesting that she didn't think anything of it at the time until she had something that was, unable to be, like you can't not realize you're being essentially abducted when it's happening. It makes me wonder, like, how many people who maybe are not even interested in this topic have had just a little, like, let's call it a time slip, didn't realize what you've been doing for the last 20 minutes, or wondering how you got there, don't remember putting that jacket on, whatever it is. And they just get, because we're not taught about this part of reality, it's not inside the framework that we're basically molded to sit within, that they just find some like other random answer, like, oh, I was daydreaming. Oh, I didn't get much sleep last night. I'm feeling out of it today. Oh, I drank too much last night. You know what I mean? Like, the brain will just come up with whatever it thinks is the likeliest answer, regardless of like the objective truth, right? And most of the time, we will just be like, oh, yep, mustn't have slept well last night, not knowing you actually just got abducted. That's what actually happened.
Healthy, normal, everything went fine when you went to a hospital?
Yeah, well, I had to be induced, but the birth was fine.
And your son is how old now? This is your youngest?
Yeah, he's 8.
And look
Your
at that
hybrid
big smile.
son. He's a cutie.
He's a cutie.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful. So he's 8 years old now. And is there anything unique?
Dude, hybrid son could be watching this channel right now. Hybrid son, if you're out there, hit me up, josh.polarity@gmail.com.
About him that you've noticed that perhaps you think
well, his mother's little angel.
Dude, that's actually quite a good band name, by the way. If anyone wants to use Hybrid Sun as their band, just chuck us a credit on the first album.
Unlike the 13-year-old. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
He used to be Bobby's little angel. And will be again soon. Yeah, so there's nothing in particular about his health or his thinking, philosophy, mental capacity.
What's his blood type?
Very compassionate child, but whether that's got to do with the way that, different children are raised, you learn by your mistakes, I guess.
Otherwise,
otherwise
he's regular, everyday, wonderful kid.
Not really opening up too much, but interesting to hear her say that he's compassionate. That's generally, you hear about that a little bit, people becoming a bit more aware, self-aware, and just awareness in general. amplified empathy.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, in looking back, that's very nice that everything went smoothly. Well, so this is an absolutely extraordinary case. I mean, the amount of evidence you have between the landing marks and all the things that happened to the soil. I know that I have a little list here, if you don't mind, just to summarize things for people.
That's fine.
The evidence that you have. Let me get the soil effects here. There's 6 soil effects that I got now. What I'm reading off of now, just so people know, is off of an article that you wrote that is on the internet through the, let me just double check, MUFON LA website, because you were just down there doing a presentation for them as well, along with a lot of other places. Kentucky, Canada, Northern and Southern California. And the 6 soil effects. Now, you had mentioned that there was it tannic acid? Is that the
Tannic acid is probably the strange one because it was coated. It should have been dissolved with all the rain. It was actually coated in an unidentifiable waxy substance, which seems to be a residue left from...
Yeah, what's the waxy substance? That's incredible. Is it plant material or wax? I mean,
it was...
What a strange...
They couldn't really identify it, except that it was... it was waxy. It seemed to be a residue left, and it was only in this crescent-shaped magnetic anomaly. In fact, all of the soil changes and changes in the chemistry were confined to that crescent-shaped magnetic anomaly and the ground within that.
So out of the entire large area that they tested, most of the...
Everything was inside of that, yeah.
Now, how was the foliage of the...
Some things it's better not to know.
Guys, if you're still balding in 2026, what are you doing? There's an easy solution. It doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars. It doesn't involve surgery or weird shampoos. It's a once-a-day chew through Hims. Finasteride and minoxidil, 2 ingredients to stop hair loss and help...
area.
That's very interesting, actually. All of the foliage in the crescent area, including blades of grass, leaves, everything, was covered in what looked like little holes everywhere. It's like a constant abrasion through everything. And this little hole effect seems to go further because it was actually in the soil as well. The soil seemed to be filled with little air holes, as if water had been drained from it very, very rapidly, like some kind of...
rapid dehydration.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little bit similar to what happens in some crop circles. That's very interesting. They've had that happening, the hardening of the soil, the rapid...
compacting, exactly.
Yeah, so the compacting from the pressure, the minute air holes. Also, there was a great deal of sulfur present in that crescent.
Yeah, an extraordinary amount, actually, in the semicircle.
Interesting.
But after my experience, all I could think of was fire and brimstone. The sulfur comes in really well there, doesn't it?
I wonder if that's where that original association came from. That's very possible. Very interesting. Now, the and the other cross-reference that we have between you and the other 2 carloads of witnesses, a total of 6 people from 3 different vantage points. Well, the 6 of you were along the road. What you all share together is, as we saw earlier in the show, the drawings of the crafts that were all drawn separately, yet clearly, you all saw the same thing, the drawings of the beings. You and some of the other women had similar medical problems after. Did any of them experience the migraines like you did, or any unusual electrical effects around their homes?
I am not sure of the... Actually, you're now asking me questions that I should have been asking myself. Thank you. Now I know what to ask for.
Call that research.
Someone asked who the interviewer is because she seems very informed. I would agree. She does. She is actually asking good questions, especially given the time. Like, this is at a time where most of the time these people would, if they weren't just getting straight up ridiculed, they were getting asked just like ridiculously stupid questions. So shout out to her. Don't know who it is though. Get in the chat if you do know. Cody Macbeth, you absolute legend. They've just gifted 10 and then said, you know what? I'm going to do another 10. And they've gifted 20 memberships, guys. Let's get some big love in the chat for Cody Macbeth, absolute legend. And to everyone who just got a membership, welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
I have been, I am aware that they've had some kind of visitations afterwards.
Oh, they did?
Too. Yeah, the ladies did. As for electrical phenomena, I don't know. Bill did seem to have, that was the male from the second party, did seem to have One unusual factor with his experience is that directly afterwards he started losing quite large clumps of hair from out the back of his head, and within a very short amount of time he developed quite a large bald spot. So there seems to, I don't know whether it's effects of radiation or what it was. But,
That's what I was thinking. That's like a radiation thing, right? Like that's what happens in chemotherapy. You lose your hair due to radiation exposure. That's how that works, right?
Did you have any
Yes, you lose your hair from radiation poisoning. So there might be something to that, folks.
action as if you were exposed to radiation or anything like that?
Well, this is what makes me keep thinking back to the Laylaw, the incident that might have occurred 2 years before, was that I got very, very ill after that, and I started losing hair by the handful.
This was right after the birth of your son, after the event where you woke up.
And I actually had to.
Oh dear!
I actually had to be rushed to hospital with what was supposed to be appendicitis, and they did an emergency operation on me at 1 o'clock in the morning. But first they did a blood test, and one of the signs of appendicitis is that your white cell count goes sky high.
Right.
And yet when they got inside, all they could find was some sort of inflammation, and there wasn't anything wrong with the appendix, just the whole inside of me had become inflamed. And what I find is unusual is that radiation has the same effect, that it sends the white cell count soaring, and sort of all.
I think I've heard that as well, folks.
Happened around the same period, and it really makes me think that
that you might have had some radiation exposure on the event that occurred before the August 93 event that you talk about in this book. Now, your book Encounter is not available at the moment. You have sold out of all your copies, and people are going to just have to wait while you find another publisher in the hopes of making it available. Or if they're very lucky, they'll find it in a used bookstore, but it's not available at the moment.
Yeah, it hasn't been published in the United States yet.
Now, if people do want if people want to reach you, however, are you open to hearing from some of our viewers here at the UFO Connection? How would people get in touch with you, Kelly?
Yes, Kelly.
By email.
Okay. Would you be willing to say your email address?
That's fine.
People?
It's all lowercase, expo, expo, at i-o.net.au.
There it is, people. Expo at i-o.net.au. Good old .net.au. Stick that up your .com. That's how we do it down under, people. .net.au. God, I haven't heard that in a long time. Have a feeling that this email probably isn't active anymore, but I don't know. Maybe it's worth a shot.
Okay. Read it one more time. Say it one more time.
Okay. That's expo, expo, at i-o.net.au.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate that you're willing to hear from our viewers. This is truly an incredible case. And if people do want to learn more, even though they may not be able to find your book, perhaps they can find more information about you on the internet anyway. Do you feel that there's any site in particular that might be more accurate for
MUFON?
MUFON, okay. Go to MUFONLA.com. Very good. I'm glad you feel that's responsible. MUFONLA.com will have accurate information about Kelly Cale's case. Her last name is Cahill, just so the viewers know how to spell that when they're typing it in. Well, Kelly, this has been incredible. Like I said, we're very honored to have you here. We really appreciate your making a special trip up to Sacramento just to be on the UFO Connection. It's been an enormous treat to meet you. And again, I want to thank Tom Potter for being responsible for bringing you up here and hosting you up here. It's been a treat.
There we go.
Welcome
Guys, to the Ridge is back with our 6th annual sweepstakes. With prizes so epic, we needed a spokesperson to match.
These are pretty nice. You can win a Lamborghini, souped up trucks.
Let me skip this commercial, folks.
Free at Ridge.
Yeah, she just said it's been a treat, and it really has. I mean, watching this like old archival footage from real people gets me so much more excited and interested in this topic, because I don't feel like I'm just being lied to, basically just lied to. And I'm not saying that we're all being lied to all the time by people on this topic, but I don't know. Do you guys agree with me? Do you feel that this has just like a more authentic energy to it, and it's just coming from real people having real anomalous experiences? someone said MUFON is compromised, and I would generally agree with that. And just like when people say the governments, they're all liars, I don't know if, like, I don't think that means everyone. I don't think everyone in MUFON is an intel agent, and I don't think everyone in the government is trying to lie to you. Like, I think there's good people everywhere, but realistically, when you begin to understand just how deep the cover-up goes on UFOs and the extents that people have gone to, the money that's been invested in covering up this story, you would be a fool if you didn't think that the largest public sourced, open source network of UFO research isn't infiltrated, right? Like, if anything, MUFON is actually probably the largest source that gathers information on, and that, look, CIA, whatever it is, deep state, monitors to gauge what kind of interactions and sightings are happening from the people. And they probably work based off of that information to some degree. It has to be, right? Like, realistically, it would be silly if it kind of worked any other way. I don't know. That's just how I see it. Moon Girlie, thank you very much for 1 month. She says, keep up the amazing work, Josh. Enjoying the content. Hope you're doing well. And she's just gifted a sticker for $10. Moon Girlie, thank you very much. I hope you're having a great day. Cody Macbeth just became a member. Cody was slinging 10 packets out twice before they were even a member themselves. Cody, welcome aboard. Thank you very much. And 420 Breezy says, P-Shaw loves y'all. Yeehaw. Shout out to P-Shaw. Hope you're doing well, man. And guys, for all the new members that we picked up today, make sure you come and join the Discord. The link is below. It's active all the time. And if you link your YouTube account to Discord, you get access to the members section, which is also very active. People are hanging out in voice channels, streaming movies, and it's just a cool place to, talk about this weird stuff with like-minded people. So get on board. Hopefully you'll see you there. Guys, tonight has honestly been great. Like I said, this is this is the side of the topic that gets me excited and that I love to look into. And it's been a while since we did a watch along like this. And I'm excited to say there's going to be more coming up soon. Absolutely. Tomorrow we're going to be live. I'm still tossing up whether it's going to be Weird Week or we might even just go live in the members section. I'll figure that out tomorrow, but it'll be about the same time, which is about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That seems to be a pretty good time for everyone, which is fantastic. Other than that, guys, if you enjoyed the stream, please slap a like on it, share it. If you want to support, it's $5 to become a member. But honestly, hanging out in the streams, getting active in the chat, being part of the community, that is really what this is all about. So once again, guys, thank you. Appreciate you all being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or your night. Let's get some love in the chat. Get outside, touch some grass, and I will see you all tomorrow at the same time. Peace. Oh my God, where's my thing? There it is. Bye.
Eventually, people are going to say, what?
Almost. Nothing good ever ends with almost. And here's always an easy way to.
That was the end of the video, folks. Very interesting. I guess we can talk about this, folks. Yeah. Can you imagine basically this woman here, this Kelly Calhoun, what she had to face probably, the ridicule from people? I mean, I faced ridicule, but I never said it basically I saw a UFO either, just because I said I was a believer in such things, folks. Just if you even believe in this stuff, they'll ridicule you. Yeah, like stupid little monkeys, folks. So I can imagine what only Kelly Calhoun went through, because she actually says she actually had these experiences. So yeah, that's something to basically take into account. Really take into account, folks. Yeah, but either way, can you imagine it, folks? And this is back in the 90s when basically, and perhaps basically the X-Files helped this all, folks. Yeah. But also basically people would use basically the X-Files theme as a joke. Yeah. I can imagine, folks, that they'd bring it up and then people would start laughing. And it reminds me basically of the Phoenix Lights. Did you know basically, well, I've said this before, folks, the press conference that happened the next day after the Phoenix Lights, they had a guy in an alien costume, folks. They turned it into a joke because they had a good reason, folks, even though I find it aggravating. When I look back at it, people were saying that basically people's children were scared and they wanted basically people calmed as quickly as possible. So that's not too surprising that basically they turned that incident into a joke, folks, because they wanted it to go away. They wanted people to get back to their jobs. They wanted everything to be normal. But that kind of behavior could basically be dangerous, folks, because maybe the Phoenix Lights really were aliens. Maybe it really was basically such an event, folks. You know, Gary from Nerd Rock says we need another event like the Phoenix Lights to come along, folks, in this day and age to basically make, people take aliens more seriously. And maybe that would be necessary, folks. I cannot see the logic. I can really see the logic of that. Yeah. Either way, this Kelly Cahill, folks, I have heard a few reports from her, and that she basically faced ridicule from basically people saying that she was a liar. Now, do I believe that her story, happened, folks? That's the thing. It's belief. You have to basically say you believe this, folks. So you can't basically prove this incident actually happened. That's where the crux of, folks. You need physical proof, real physical proof to get people to believe such a thing. Either way, I can imagine basically some people even now and stuff like that say that she's a liar. Me, personally, I've always given people like this the benefit of the doubt, folks. Maybe they're saying they're telling the truth as far as they know, folks. But remember, it could very well be that this woman is lying. It's a possibility, but I think maybe, if anything, the real truth that most people would say is that she maybe just is a lunatic. Sad to say, folks, I have to say that. There's too much of a possibility. There have been too many people over the years basically presenting aliens as real, but they were later proved to basically being not so much lying. They did indeed believe they were telling the truth, folks, but they were just crazy. So that could basically be the truth as well. It's something to take into account, folks. So always remember that too, as we're talking about all that, folks. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that basically I'm talking to you like this, folks. I should basically talk to you and not rely on the video. So I'm kind of glad the video did end there, folks. So I'll give you my opinion on it. Kelly Cahill, she basically did a lot of stuff, and people basically say she's a liar. But do I think she is? I just don't know, folks. As I said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. That's the crux of the problem, folks. But if she were to present absolute proof, an actual alien being, perhaps, then every skeptic would shut up instantly about about her being a liar, wouldn't they? Unfortunately, that's what she needs to do, folks. If you want people to truly believe you, have an alien actually appear on TV with you next to it. That, as I said, that would be basically the only way to really prove this incident actually happened. But then again, I'm not basically expecting that to happen anytime soon, folks. So all I can do is just wonder. But it does make you wonder, like that, if there is such a thing, folks. And that maybe this would be all prove to basically be real. But as I said, folks, you can only just guess if that's such an incident will actually happen. Certainly, if an alien appeared on TV, folks, an actual alien, they proved it, people still wouldn't believe it because of all the lies that people have basically been having to deal with over the last 2 decades. Namely, all the lies that were basically introduced after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, folks, that even now I still say needs to be repealed, and stuff like that. So that's also something to take into account. Either way, we're pretty much done with this page, folks. I'll probably basically do a regular live stream, but maybe I could basically do another draw stream tomorrow. Like I usually like spacing them out after I do a page here, folks. So there's that possibility too. So there's that. But what about all of you? What do you think about that, folks? Do you think I should do another draw stream tomorrow, or should I just do a live stream where I basically find an article? I have a few lined up, folks, and give my opinion about it. It's something to consider. Either way, almost definitely after I get this live stream finished, folks, I'll probably finish off this page today at some point. Because all we need to do is just get through a few more of these and be done with it. So there's that. Now, folks, let me tell you about my book, Supreme Strike Force. It's a superhero, police procedural book, folks, with basically, with the main characters going up against the villains, folks, who are basically after this MacGuffin, but this time not basically in a silly idea. Basically, it's all about this girl known as basically, this girl who basically joins the superhuman police force and our Supreme Strike Force, folks, basically to fight crime and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, her code name is Hardtop 2. It was her mother was Hardtop 1. She has psychic powers and stuff like that. So you get that. She's Cherry Hammer. Either way, she joins up with her father to have him teach her about being a police officer and a superhero, and this is her first day at work, folks. Either way, it's going to be a great book. Either way, what do you think about this so far, folks? Looks pretty good. But we're at the end. Now, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. The There's misspelled. It's THERE. It's Read Comics They're Bad For You. It's supposed to be, they're bad for you. So there's that. Okay? You can use links down below in descriptions to go subscribe to me, folks. Okay? Yeah. Now, hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications, folks. Hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please share this video out, okay? Now, folks, please go over and subscribe to Dark Sayings on YouTube and on BitChute. Then go subscribe to Robot Co-op on YouTube and on Twitch. I also want you to go over and subscribe to Stitched Together Pics up on YouTube, okay? Now, folks, remember, down in the descriptions or in the chat, I left links. I left links to YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch or BitChute, Dark Sayings, Robot Co-op, and Stitched Together Pics, okay? Remember, if I do upload 2 videos today, folks, one video will be up on, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, or BitChute, and the other will be up on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and BitChute as an exclusive, okay? Either way, folks, now I want you to go over and subscribe to Dark Sayings. Dark Sayings is like the Art Bell radio show or like my own show, folks. He delves into weird subjects like aliens and ghosts. He does short videos, which he uploads to Rumble, to BitChute, Instagram, and YouTube, folks. Basically mostly Instagram and BitChute, folks, where he basically where he uploads where these videos, he does these short videos on High Strangeness, delve into various subjects. He also does live streams where he basically does a live stream and talks about this stuff with his viewers for fun. Either way, all of his content is interesting as hell, folks, to watch, and you learn every time you watch any of his content. You learn new things about the world of the paranormal. So go subscribe to Dark Saints on YouTube and on BitChute. By the way, he does his live streams basically on Wednesdays and Fridays, mostly Wednesdays around 10 o'clock p.m. Now, folks, please, go and subscribe to Robot Co-op. Because I was talking about Dark Sayings earlier. Remember, use the links down below in descriptions to go subscribe to Dark Sayings. But now let's talk about Robot Co-op. Robot Co-op is a live streaming gaming channel, folks, hosted, by Robot Co-op and stuff like that is what I'm talking about here, folks. It's hosted by this guy who plays video games along with these 2 wisecracking robots. Why robots? The whole show is basically a dedication homage to Mystery Science Theater 3000. You know that TV show where that guy is trapped in outer space with these two robots, and they're forced to watch bad movies and then they roast them? Well, Robot Co-op is like that, only they live stream, games. They play good games, so they play bad games, and watching their live streams is like being a party, folks, and watching these people live stream and basically make fun of them. Either way, you're going to love their live streams on Twitch, folks, because they're so much fun to watch. Watch Robot Co-op on YouTube and on, use the links down below or in the descriptions to go subscribe to Robot Co-op. Okay? Now, remember as well, go and subscribe to Stitched Together Pics. Stitched Together Pics is a horror movie review channel hosted by the maniacal cinephile who has multiple personalities. You're not getting one character, you're getting a whole lot of them. All of them are fun. Use the links down below to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Now, remember, folks, I'm going to unlist this live stream up on YouTube, okay? You can keep watching this YouTube stream, but once it's unlisted, if you click off of it, you probably won't be able to get back onto it. So use the links down below and subscribe to me up on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and BitChute to continue to see all my content, okay? Now, also, folks, go over to Indiegogo and check out the pre-launch page to my new campaign, Scumdog's Second Chance campaign, right now. You can go sign up for it. And a few weeks ago, or months, I'm going to basically launch the campaign so more people can back my book. There will also be pages for it up on Fund My Comic Book and Kickstarter. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kindle. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great live stream, so make sure to come back again then. Until next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon, so bye. See you later, folks.